He was my witness protection officer. Until we both became targets! Trigger warning. This story contains descriptions of violence, murder, gunfire, injury, and life-threatening situations. I hadn't stopped shaking since I watched Vincent die. My phone felt heavy in my pocket, weighted with evidence that could get me killed. The police station's fluorescent lights did nothing to warm the chill that had settled in my bones. Fucking hell, what have I gotten myself into? Mr. Bennett. The voice was deep, authoritative. I looked up and my breath caught. The FBI agent standing before me was tall, broad-shouldered, with eyes so intensely green they seemed to pierce right through my carefully constructed walls. Great. Just great. Of course they'd send someone who looked like he'd walked straight out of my fantasies. Agent Rivera, he continued, his jaw tightening as he assessed me. I'll be handling your witness protection. Lucky me, I muttered, earning a sharp glare that definitely shouldn't have sent heat coursing through my body. Not the time, Ethan. This is serious, Mr. Bennett. Senator Hayes' people will... I just watched my mentor get murdered, I snapped, standing up so quickly my chair scraped against the floor. Trust me, I know how serious this is. Something flickered in those green eyes. Surprise? Maybe respect. He stepped closer, and I caught a hint of his cologne. Cedar and something spicy. Then you understand why we need to move you immediately. Pack light. Essential items only. My life has officially ended. My gallery show, everything I'd worked for these past 2 years, gone. Just like that. My paintings are not essential to keeping you alive. His tone was clipped, professional, but when I flinched, his expression softened fractionally. I'm sorry, but we need to go. Now. The drive to my apartment was tense. I caught him watching me in the rearview mirror more times than necessary for security. When we pulled up, he insisted on clearing my place before letting me pack. I grabbed my art supplies before anything else. Agent Rivera, Marcus, made an exasperated sound. Clothing first, he ordered. My hands need to stay busy or I'm going to lose it, I shot back, shoving my favorite brushes into their case. Unless you prefer I have a complete breakdown? He ran a hand through his dark hair, mussing its perfect style. Fine. 5 minutes. I managed 15 before he physically steered me toward my bedroom to pack clothes. His hand on my lower back was firm, steady, grounding. I hated how much I needed that touch, how much I craved more of it. Time's up, he said, but his voice had lost some of its edge. His eyes dropped to my lips for a fraction of a second before he stepped back. We need to move. Well, I need him to kiss me, or I might just go mad. A very hectic hour later, we got to the safe house. The Montana cabin was rustic, isolated, and entirely too small for two people who sparked like a match in kindling every time they got too close. Marcus insisted on staying on site due to the high-profile nature of the case. I wasn't sure if that was standard procedure or his own decision, and I wasn't sure which answer I hoped for more. I'll take the couch, he said, setting up his laptop on the tiny dining table. Don't be ridiculous. The couch is tiny. We can alternate. Mr. Bennett. Ethan, I corrected. If you're going to be my shadow for the foreseeable future, you might as well use my name. He looked at me for a long moment, and I watched his careful mask slip just slightly. Ethan, he said finally, my name coming out tougher than I think he intended, I'll take the couch. That first night, I lay awake listening to him shift uncomfortably on the too small couch, wondering if he was as aware of the mere feet between us as I was. Wondering if he felt this same dangerous pull that seemed to grow stronger by the hour. I was so screwed. Marcus had shifted into full protection mode after spotting something suspicious during his perimeter check. Which meant he was everywhere, constantly. His presence filled every inch of the small space, making it impossible to breathe without inhaling his scent, impossible to move without feeling the heat radiating from his body. You need to learn basic self-defense, he announced that morning, pushing the coffee table aside to clear space in the living room. I looked up from my sketchbook, where I'd definitely not been drawing the line of his jaw. I know self-defense. Show me. I stood, rolling my eyes. Fine. Attack me. He moved faster than I expected, but I managed to deflect his grab. What I didn't expect was him catching my countermove, pulling me against his chest with one arm locked around my waist. Not bad, he murmured, his breath hot against my ear. But your footwork needs work. I was suddenly acutely aware of every point of contact between us. His chest against my back, his thigh pressed alongside mine, his fingers splayed across my ribs. My breath hitched. Again, he said, releasing me so abruptly I stumbled. This time, watch my feet. 2 hours later, I was sweating, frustrated, and so wound up I could barely think straight. Marcus hadn't fared much better. His perfect hair was mussed, his shirt clung to his shoulders, and I caught him staring more than once when he thought I wasn't looking. Enough, he said finally, his voice rougher than usual. Go shower, I'll make lunch. I hesitated in the bathroom doorway. You know, for someone who's supposed to be protecting me, you're doing a pretty good job of torturing me instead. His eyes snapped to mine, dark with something that definitely wasn't professional concern. Shower, Ethan, now! That evening, I discovered his sketchbook while I was outside on a call with his supervisor. It was worn, well-loved, and filled with incredible charcoal drawings. I was so absorbed I didn't hear him come back in. That's private, he said sharply. I jumped, but didn't close the book. You never said you were an artist. I'm not. Not anymore. He moved to take the sketchbook, but I held on. These are gorgeous, Marcus. The way you capture light. My fingers traced one sketch, a study of hands creating something unseen. Why did you stop? He was standing too close again, both of us holding the sketchbook between us. Life took a different path, but you miss it. It wasn't a question. I could see the longing in his eyes, the same look I'd have if someone took art away from me. Some things are too dangerous to hold on to. His gaze dropped to my mouth as he spoke, and for a moment I thought he might finally close the distance between us. Instead, he gently tugged the sketchbook from my hands and walked away, leaving me burning with questions and wanting. Ugh, I want to scream so bad! A week into our isolation, the nightmares started. I'd wake up gasping, Vincent's death playing on repeat behind my eyelids. The third time it happened, Marcus was there before I could even sit up, perched on the edge of the bed. Hey, he said softly, one hand hovering uncertainly before settling on my shoulder. You're safe. I leaned into his touch without thinking. I keep seeing his face. The blood. His thumb stroked slow circles against my skin. I know. Trust me, I know. When I met his eyes in the darkness, something shifted between us. The professional distance he'd been maintaining cracked, just a little. Without a word, he retrieved his sketchbook and sat back on the bed. Draw with me, he said, offering me a pencil. It helps, with the memories. We stayed up until dawn, sharing the sketchbook between us, creating pieces together in a way that felt startlingly intimate. His style complemented mine, strong lines softening into abstract shapes. When our hands brushed, neither of us pulled away. The next evening, I was cooking dinner when his phone rang. He stepped outside for what I assumed was another check-in with his supervisor. I tried not to eavesdrop, but something in his tone made me pause by the window. Yes, sir, he was saying, his back rigid with tension. I understand the sensitivity of... No changes in routine. I watched him pace, noticing how he kept touching his watch, a nervous tell I'd picked up on over the past week. Something about the gesture nagged at my memory. He came back inside looking troubled, but covered it quickly when he saw me watching. Everything okay, I asked? Fine. His smile didn't reach his eyes. Just procedure. Later that night, unable to sleep, I was flipping through the photos on my phone. The ones from that night at the gallery that had landed us here. I zoomed in on one showing the killer's hand reaching for Vincent, and my blood ran cold. The watch. The same distinctive watch Marcus's supervisor had been wearing during their video call yesterday. A floorboard creaked behind me. I turned to find Marcus standing in the doorway, his expression unreadable. You should be sleeping, he said quietly. Your supervisor, I said, my voice shaking. He's involved, isn't he? Marcus crossed the room in 3 long strides, taking my phone and examining the photo. His jaw clenched. Yes. So what now? I asked, hating how my voice trembled. Are you here to finish what they started? His eyes snapped to mine, fierce and almost angry. No, he growled, and suddenly he was crowding me against the wall, one hand braced beside my head. I'm here to keep you alive, even if it means going against my own agency. My heart hammered against my ribs. Why? Because, he said, his free hand coming up to cup my jaw, thumb brushing my lower lip. I can't seem to think straight around you anymore. Before either of us could say another word, his phone buzzed with an incoming alert. Marcus pulled back, checking the screen, his expression darkening. Pack your bag, he ordered, already moving to secure the cabin. They know where we are. We need to move. Now. If I have to pack my things and move one more time, I'll scream till my lungs burn, I thought as we entered the second safe house. The Wyoming safe house felt more like a prison than the cabin had. Maybe because this time we both knew we weren't just hiding from external threats anymore. The enemy was inside Marcus's own agency, and I could see it eating at him with every encrypted call he made. I watched him from my spot on the couch, pretending to sketch while he paced. 3 days we'd been here, and the shadows under his eyes were getting darker. Your contacts aren't talking, I asked, though I already knew the answer from the tension in his shoulders. They're talking, he ran a hand through his hair, messing up its perfect style in a way that made my fingers itch to fix it. Just not saying anything useful. Someone's covering their tracks well. Thunder cracked overhead, making me jump. Marcus's head snapped up, instantly alert. When the lights flickered once and died, I heard him swear softly in the darkness. Don't move, he ordered, but I could hear him moving toward me, navigating the small space from memory. Lightning flashed, illuminating the room in stark bursts. He was checking the security panel, his profile sharp against the window. Another flash and suddenly he was right in front of me, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from his body. System secure, he murmured, but he didn't step back. In the darkness, I felt his hand find mine, steadying. It's just the storm. Lightning lit up his face. So close. Too close. And I watched his eyes drop to my mouth. The air between us felt electric, charged with weeks of unspoken wanting. I swayed forward, drawn by the gravity of him. The security panel's harsh beep shattered the moment. Marcus jerked away, already moving toward the back door, gun drawn. Stay behind me. It was just a fallen branch, but the almost kiss haunted me for days. Every time our eyes met, I could feel that electricity crackle between us again. It made the constant security breaches even more maddening. A suspicious car lingering too long on the road, a drone that definitely wasn't from any local news station, footprints in the mud that shouldn't have been there. Each incident ratcheted up Marcus's protective instincts. He'd physically shield me at the slightest hint of danger, his body curved around mine like a shield. Like he could stop bullets through sheer force of will. I started painting to keep the anxiety at bay, working on landscapes that looked innocent enough. But Marcus, watching me work one afternoon, saw something more. The way you layer the colors, he said, moving to stand behind me. His chest brushed my back as he leaned in to study the canvas. We could hide information in plain sight. The idea bloomed between us, using art as our own private code. He sat beside me, teaching me how to embed messages in seemingly random brushstrokes. His hand covered mine on the brush, guiding my movements with intimate precision. Like this, I asked, hyper-aware of how his breath stirred my hair. His lips brushed my ear as he answered. Perfect. Creating art together became our own form of foreplay. His body curved around mine as we worked, his voice low and intimate as we discussed technique and hidden meanings. Each painting held pieces of his investigation and pieces of us. Then came the night that changed everything. I was reviewing Vincent's files again, spreading photos across the kitchen table when the pattern finally clicked. Marcus, I called out, my hands shaking. Look at these invoices. The dates, the buyers, it's all connected. He leaned over my shoulder, and I felt the exact moment he saw it too. His whole body went rigid against my back. Son of a bitch, he breathed. Romano wasn't just tracking forgeries. These paintings, they're being used to launder money. Political bribes disguised as art sales. That's why they killed him, I said, turning to face him. He had proof of... The words died in my throat. He was still leaning over me, his face inches from mine, eyes dark with the same dangerous realization that was making my heart race. This was bigger than either of us had imagined. Ethan, he said, my name rough in his throat. We should... I grabbed his shirt and pulled him down to me. The first brush of his lips against mine sparked like a match to gasoline, igniting weeks of pent-up tension. He made a sound low in his throat, desperate, almost pained, before crushing me against him. His hands were everywhere, one tangling in my hair to tilt my head back, the other sliding under my shirt to press against my lower back, skin to skin. I arched into him, dragging my teeth across his lower lip. and his controls snapped. He spun us, pinning me against the wall, his body a solid wall of heat against mine. "You're going to get me killed," he groaned, trailing hungry kisses down my neck. "You're not dead yet," I gasped, sliding my hands under his shirt to trace the muscles of his back. His skin burned under my fingertips. He pulled back just enough to meet my eyes, his pupils blown wide with desire. "There's no going back from this," he warned, even as his thumb traced my bottom lip. "If anything happened to you," I nipped at his thumb, "nothing will happen to me." I rolled my hips against his, swallowing his groan with another kiss. "You won't let it." His answering kiss was possessive, claiming, a promise, and a prayer wrapped in desperation. When we finally broke apart, we were both trembling. "We're both so screwed," he whispered against my lips, but he was smiling. That rare, real smile that made his eyes crinkle at the corners. I wound my arms around his neck, pulling him back down. Definitely. Marcus sensed before I heard anything, his body going rigid against mine. "Someone's here," he whispered, already pulling me away from the window. Headlights swept across the walls, multiple vehicles. "FBI!" a voice called from outside. "Agent Rivera, we're here to transfer you and the witness to a new location." Marcus's hand tightened on mine. "That's not protocol," he breathed. Before I could respond, he yanked me toward the pantry, a tiny space barely big enough for the canned foods we'd stocked. "Are you crazy?" I hissed as he pulled me in with him, closing the door. "They'll find—" "Shh!" He pressed me against the back wall, his body completely covering mine. In the darkness, I felt his heartbeat hammering against my chest. Footsteps entered the house. "Clear the rooms," someone ordered. "They have to be here somewhere." I buried my face in Marcus's neck, trying to steady my breathing. His arms tightened around me protectively as boots thudded past our hiding spot. One hand stroked my back soothingly, even as his other hand gripped his gun. "Sir, their things are still here. Recent coffee cups in the sink. Keep searching. Check every closet, every crawl space." The footsteps drew closer. Marcus's lips brushed my ear. "When I move, run for the back door. The paintings. Already rolled in my art tube," I whispered back. His answering smile, I felt it against my skin more than I saw it, was fierce with pride. The pantry door flew open. Marcus moved like lightning, shoving the first agent back into his partner while dragging me toward freedom. Shots rang out behind us as we burst through the back door. We ran into the woods, Marcus leading us through the darkness with terrifying confidence. The tube of paintings bounced against my back with each step, our coded evidence our only hope of exposing the truth. Hours later, we collapsed in a cheap motel room 2 towns over. Marcus had insisted on driving backwards, switching cars twice. "We need to sleep," he said, checking the room's pathetic locks for the 3rd time. "I'll take first watch." Like hell, I caught his wrist, pulled him toward the single queen bed. "You haven't slept in days. We both rest, or neither of us does." He hesitated, but exhaustion won out. We lay facing each other in the darkness, close enough to share breath. "I'm sorry," he murmured, tracing my cheekbone with gentle fingers. "I never meant to drag you deeper into this." I leaned into his touch. "I'm not." His kiss was softer this time, tender in a way that made my chest ache. When he rolled me beneath him, his weight settling over me like a shield, I felt safer than I had in weeks. The window exploded inward. Marcus was moving before the glass hit the floor, rolling us off the far side of the bed as bullets tore through the space we just occupied. He returned fire, keeping his body between me and danger as he pushed us toward the bathroom. "Next time," he grunted, pulling me through the tiny window while shots continued to ring out, "maybe we stick to separate beds." I laughed despite the terror, high on adrenaline and the absurdity of it all. Your timing for humor really sucks. Days blurred together after that. Endless miles of back roads, nameless motels, always moving, always watching. We could trust no one. Every stranger was a potential threat. Every phone call could be traced. Every security camera could give us away. But in the quiet moments between the running and the hiding, something deeper grew. I watched Marcus slowly let his walls crumble, saw the way he stopped pulling back when I reached for him, noticed how his protective instincts shifted from professional to personal. One night, holed up in a cabin that reminded me too much of our first safe house, I found him studying our paintings, the ones that held our evidence in layers of color and shadow. "What are you thinking?" I asked, wrapping my arms around him from behind. He covered my hands with his. That I'm not just fighting to expose the truth anymore. He turned to my embrace, green eyes intense in the lamplight. I'm fighting for a future. With you. Good, I said, rising up to kiss him. Because I'm not letting you go. His smile was soft, real. One I'd learned was just for me. Wouldn't dream of it. The burner phone Marcus had been saving for emergencies buzzed at 3 a.m. I watched him answer it, tension visible in every line of his body. Chen? His voice was low, careful. He listened for a long moment, his free hand finding mine in the darkness. How can I be sure? I could barely hear the woman's voice on the other end, but whatever she said made Marcus's grip tighten on my hand. Say it again, he demanded. The exact words he used when he closed his eyes, relief washing over his features. Okay. Yes, I remember. When he hung up, I touched his face. Someone you trust? Agent Sarah Chen. We went through training together. He leaned into my touch. She was there the day I decided to quit painting. She's the only one who knows why. And you're sure she's not compromised? She just proved she remembers something only the two of us would know. He turned to press a kiss to my palm. She has evidence backing up what we found in the paintings. Bank records, surveillance footage, everything we need to expose Hayes and the corrupt agents. But she needs to verify our evidence first. Where? The Art Institute. His eyes met mine, serious. It's risky. Too public, too many variables. But she can't leave Chicago without raising suspicion, and we can't trust any private location. The Art Institute, I repeated, a plan already forming. Actually, that might be perfect. He raised an eyebrow. Explain. I grabbed my sketchbook, flipping to a clean page. Look, I had 3 exhibitions there before all this started. I know that building like the back of my hand. Not just the galleries, but the service corridors, the restoration rooms, everything. Understanding dawned in his eyes as I sketched out the layout. And I helped with security upgrades there 2 years ago. Exactly. I drew faster, marking potential escape routes. Plus, it's full of blind spots and hidden corners. If something goes wrong, when something goes wrong, he corrected grimly, we'll have options. Multiple exits, lots of cover, and the basement level is a maze unless you know it well. Which we both do. He studied the plans I'd drawn, then pulled me into a fierce kiss. You're brilliant, he murmured against my lips. I know, I smirked. So when do we meet her? Tomorrow night, after closing. He traced the route I'd mapped out. We'll need to memorize every possible escape route. If Chen's cover is blown, if she's being watched, then we'll be ready. I curled into his side, adding more details to the map. Walk me through the security system again. Everything you installed, everything you know about. We spent the next hours planning, memorizing, and preparing for every possibility. But as dawn broke and we finally lay down to rest, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were walking into something bigger than either of us had imagined. Marcus pulled me closer, as if sensing my unease. Whatever happens, he whispered into my hair, we face it together. I pressed a kiss to his chest, right over his heart. Together. The Art Institute felt different at night. I'd spent countless hours in these halls during exhibitions, but never like this. Every shadow a potential threat. Every footstep echoing with purpose against the marble floors. Marcus and I moved silently through the medieval gallery, following the route we'd memorized. Movement in the north wing, Marcus murmured, his hand warm against my lower back. 2 guards, normal patrol pattern. I nodded, clutching my portfolio closer. Our paintings, our evidence, everything we'd risked our lives for. We'd timed this perfectly. 3 minutes until Agent Chen's shift guarding the Impressionist collection began, 4 minutes until the next security sweep. We reached the grand staircase when I caught it, a reflection in the glass display case we'd marked as a vantage point. Multiple shadows, moving with tactical precision. East corridor, I breathed, tilting my head slightly toward our first planned escape route. Blocked, Marcus replied, tension thrumming through him. They're hurting us. We made it 3 more steps before the first shot rang out. FBI, freeze! Marcus moved exactly as we'd practiced, spinning me behind the marble column we'd chosen as our primary cover. Plan C, he said in my ear. Ready? I squeezed his hand once. Plan C. Through the Roman gallery, down to restoration, out through loading. We'd walked it 6 times in my sketches. Agent Rivera, a voice called out, his former supervisor. Let's handle this professionally. You're surrounded. Marcus's laugh was cold. Like you handled Romano professionally? The first shot sparked against the marble as we broke cover. We moved in perfect sync, exactly as planned, me slightly ahead since I knew the gallery layout best, Marcus covering our rear. The hidden service door behind the Degas would be unlocked. Agent Chen had confirmed she'd handled that herself. Except when we reached it, the handle wouldn't turn. Backup route, Marcus said immediately, pushing me toward the Renaissance wing. They're playing chess, thinking moves ahead. Good thing we're playing a different game, I shot back, already moving toward the restoration room's concealed entrance. This was my territory, the hidden paths I discovered during late nights setting up exhibitions. A bullet shattered the glass beside us. I stumbled, but Marcus caught me, pulling me into an alcove we'd marked for exactly this purpose. His body pressed against mine, shielding me as more shots rang out. You thinking what I'm thinking, he asked, eyes bright with adrenaline. The Monet Restoration Project, I nodded. They started last week. Service elevator, leads straight to lower storage. He pressed a fierce kiss to my lips. This is why a bullet whizzed too close, cutting him off. Run, now! We broke cover, sprinting for the concealed maintenance hall. I heard Marcus cry out just as we reached it, but he pushed me through first. The moment the door closed behind us, he sagged against the wall. Marcus? The metallic smell of blood hit me before I saw it spreading across his shirt. No, no, no. Stick to the plan, he gritted out, face pale. Lower level storage. Section C. Chen's backup team will have to wait. I helped him into the service elevator, hitting the basement button with shaking fingers. His blood was hot against my hands. Stay with me, okay? Talk to me. About what? His words were starting to slur. The day you quit art. Tell me the real story, the one only Chen knows. The elevator doors opened to the maze of storage rooms. I guided us towards Section C, where Chen's team would be waiting. Where they had to be waiting. Quit because... He stumbled, and I barely kept us both upright. Because I drew something beautiful. Something I shouldn't have seen. Evidence in a case. Made me a target. And now? More evidence, more art, more danger. Why risk it? Now? His laugh was weak but real. Now I have found something more beautiful. Worth the risk. You. Always you. Marcus, my voice broke. I need you to stay awake. I need you to stay with me because I love you, you stupidly noble idiot. And if you die on me after all our careful planning, I swear... Say it again. His eyes found mine, fever bright. I love you. His smile was beautiful, even as his eyes started to drift shut. Been waiting to hear that. No, stay awake, Marcus! Footsteps echoed nearby, the pattern we'd established with Chen. 3 quick, 1 slow. I held him tighter. Please, I love you. Don't you dare leave me now. Here, Chen's voice rang out. Medical team, Section C. Movement to the north stairwell. Andrews, Martinez, cover it. I barely registered the tactical team securing the perimeter, the medics swarming in. All I saw was Marcus, his fingers weakly squeezing mine. Stay with me, I whispered against his lips. We have so many more escape routes to plan. His eyes fluttered open, finding mine with fierce determination. Love you too, he breathed. Not going anywhere. 3 months later, I stood in the same gallery where this all began, watching the crowd gather for my delayed opening. My hands hadn't shaken once while hanging the pieces, now with Marcus's steady presence beside me, his shoulder brushing mine as we positioned each painting perfectly. The evidence hidden in our collaborative works had brought down 2 senators, 8 FBI agents, and an entire art forgery ring. But tonight wasn't about that. Tonight was about the centerpiece. A massive canvas Marcus and I had created together in our new shared studio. Dark and light intertwined, 2 figures finding each other through shadows. His bold strikes complemented my softer style, telling our story in a language only we fully understood. Stop fidgeting, Marcus murmured in my ear, his hands settling on my lower back. The familiar touch still sent electricity down my spine. They love it. They better, I whispered back. Some of us didn't get shot putting this show together. His laugh was warm and real, the one reserved just for me. No, but you did save my life. Several times, if I remember correctly. I turned in his arms, straightening his tie. We saved each other. The scar on his shoulder was still pink and new under his suit jacket, but his hands were paint-stained again, his sketchbook never far from reach. The nightmares were fading for both of us, replaced by better dreams. He caught my hand, pressing a kiss on my palm. Ready to mingle? I pulled him down for a proper kiss instead, ignoring the flashbulbs and murmurs. Now I'm ready. Let them talk. We'd earned this. Our art, our truth, our love. Together. Conclusion. 3 years later, and I still sometimes wake up in the middle of the night reaching for Marcus, needing to feel the steady rise and fall of his chest, to reassure myself that we both made it through. After the investigation closed and the trials ended, Marcus left the FBI to start his own security consultation firm. Vincent's murder may have brought us together, but it's the life we've built afterwards that matters most. The end. Question for readers. What would you risk for love? Would you choose safety or passion? And can true protection only come when we're brave enough to let someone else in? Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing to become a part of our Rainbow Force and stay wholesome!